welcome to the Billowing Hilltop podcast. I'm here with some people. Hello, people.
Hello.
Hello, person. These people are not all Billowing Hilltop people. They're other people. Here in our command pod, we're having a chat about the Age of Worms for a bonus piece of material that we hope to release in the very near future. As always, thanks for listening to our funny little story. We are always extremely grateful for any ratings or reviews you can leave us. And if you subscribe, it helps us with, I don't know, some kind of computer thing to do with podcasts that we don't fully understand. You can find us on Twitter at Billowing Hilltop. You can find us on Facebook, and you can always email us at hello@billowinghilltop.com. Paul will take your email, rearrange the words into one of his tone poems. I've run out of things for Paul to be doing with emails, so I'll give up there. Anyway, that's it. We've got no other news or information, so to just push on with episode 101 of the Billowing Hilltop podcast, The Love for Three Oranges. Since the beginning of history, the people of Hearth have measured time in ages. Ages of glory and ages of dreams have risen and fallen, each with its heroes and sorrows. Now one long foretold age is rapidly approaching. An age of darkness, of decay, and of writhing doom. Thousands of years ago, a mortal learned of this unborn age, and knew it was his destiny to rule it. Now he exists as dark thoughts of rot and deceit, his name spoken only in whispers by people ever fearful of his spreading influence. Chaos, once mortal, stands poised to destroy an unknowing world. If unopposed, he shall usher in the Age of Worms. But there is hope. Chaos has left traces. Chaos has left clues. For in those days long past, Chaos built a great city as he sought the secrets of this writhing age. A city where he enhanced and refined his power over the undead. A city that was to serve as the site of his ascent to godhood. A city that now lies in ruins. The hope of the world may lie in these ruins, and in a small band of mismatched and mistrusting heroes whose destiny is to explore them. Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
I am here with Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Mike.
Graham. Hello, Graham.
Hello, Mike.
Paul. Hello, Paul.
Hello,
and
Graham.
Johnny. Hello, Johnny. But no Lucas, who was injured during recording of our last introduction. He's convalescing on the South Pole. That's where he goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we're going to push on. We're just going to pick stuff up straight from where we were. There's no recap or anything. You're in the tomb of Icosiol.
Should we do?
You've killed the thing with loads of eyes. Yeah, the benevolence of Oort has been bestowed upon you. If you want to go around and do your leveling choices, let's do that. Who wants to start?
Graham.
Okay, my leveling choices are quite simple. I get some more spells. I get access to 6th level cleric spells. There's some really interesting ones.
6th level.
6th level
really...
cleric spells. Go on then.
So I
Go on
was
then, which
quite
one?
tempted by Hero's Feast. I think that's what it's called.
Right.
Which is kind of like Aid, only better.
Right.
Oh, I thought it sounded like one of those boring...
Yes, I
thought it
know
was
what you
like
mean, that
one of those.
I know that one.
You create a table of food for up to 8 people.
You do. You
It's
create
not-
a
it's
table
not
of
like-
food
oh.
for up to 8 people. Takes an hour. And then everyone gets 2d10 increase to their maximum hit points and hit points for the next 24 hours.
You're kidding.
Wow.
They become immune to poison, being frightened, make all will saves at advantage. It's quite good.
Bloody hell.
It cures disease and poison. Eating
Yeah,
feast.
there's a Tasha's spell that does something similar. that I
So
looked at.
I'm going to keep in my armory, but I'm not currently thinking I will
Or
use
was it a Tensor's?
Um,
Might have been one of Tensor's
quite
spells.
fancy. So I'm gonna prepare heal because that's quite cool.
Heal.
It's interesting that you mentioned tensor bonds, but we'll get back to that in a bit. You're going to pick heal as in the big...
The big recover.
what is that?
70 hit
All
points.
bar how much?
No, it's like 70 hit points. I think now.
70 hit points. Blimey.
Ends blindness, deafness, and any diseases.
Okay. Basically, amazing.
It's also range, so it's kind of handy.
What?
Range.
That
Heal
is
is
quite handy.
Yeah.
Heal is a range spell.
Yeah, it's got 60-foot range.
Oh my god.
Never used to
Okay.
be. Not in the old days.
Not in the old days.
No,
So there's
no.
Quite interesting
Right.
spells in there, but that's basically what you get.
You can leave your back door open.
Any offensive spells?
Harm.
When's like flame strike and blade barrier?
Blade barrier is also
Johnny.
6th level. I looked at
No.
blade barrier. I was tempted a little bit with that. I did quite like word of recall. Is kind of cool.
Oh, word of recall.
Mass teleport.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
what that does, basically, to a predefined location. Quite like that one as well.
Hmm.
But you can pick any one of these, right?
Yeah, you prepare a spell. You have access to all of them.
Yeah. A night's rest. Then you can pick one of these spells. So if you need to mass teleport, you can. Right.
Yeah.
10th to 11th level, and from book 6 to book 7, which we'll talk about in a bit, I definitely sense there's a sort of shift in everything, right? From one tier of play to another tier of play. Like higher level spells.
Yep.
I've been reading ahead. Everything is a lot more scary. We'll get into that in a bit. Anything else from you, Graham, on sessions?
What did you decide about your magic item?
I haven't decided.
Let's do magic at the end. Let's go around and do the
Okay.
items at the end because, dear readers, I have some extraordinary news. And that news is that somehow this lot have managed to allocate the treasure that they found in the sarcophagus of Icosiol without an argument.
In about 30
offline,
seconds.
in about 30 seconds flat. So we'll get to that in a bit. We'll go around and we'll talk about what you found. But let's push on with the next person. Who wants to go next on leveling up?
Next contestant.
Paul. Who's the next contestant?
All right, I'll go. I've got something called reliable talent, which I was like, about in the first half a second, but then I went, ooh, that's rather cool. So anything that I've got a proficiency bonus in when I make an ability check, anything that I roll 9 or lower gets counted as a 10. So, for example, stealth, I get plus 11. So it means I'm plus 21 automatically.
So you're guaranteed a 21 because you can't roll lower than a 10, is that
Yep.
what you're saying?
So stealth,
Got it.
sleight of hand, perception, investigation, insight,
Nice.
deception, athletics. They're all plus 10 automatically
Nice.
to what I've got, and stealth being the main one. So that's kind of, with my flying capability now, that's why I really want Alessandra to become, the probe. It is well ahead.
one always fails though, doesn't it?
No.
Yeah.
Does it?
It always fails.
It says,
So you have a 1 in 20 chance of failing, whatever.
the rules say, whenever you make an ability check that lets you add your proficiency bonus, you can treat a d20 roll of 9 or lower as a 10. That's what it says.
So no ones. Unless...
It
Yeah,
doesn't
ruled it,
say
I think.
except for a 1.
no, it doesn't.
No, and the general rules say the specific rules override the general ones, but it does seem a bit weird.
That's right, they do.
Does seem
So
a bit weird.
that would be that. Well, let's
You
not
can never
argue about this
fail.
now.
No,
Let's
it's
argue
fine.
about it when it's really important.
Yeah.
When Paul rolls a 1 at a critical juncture, then we will have a really long
That's
argument
neat. What
about
armor
it.
class
Start
are you
digging
now?
through.
17.
And how many hit points?
Maximum 69.
Okay.
Nice.
This is all about having the assassinate feat. It's all about
Yeah, that's
Which
tricky
is-
though, because you need... Yeah, so
surprise attack. Getting a surprise attack means
yeah.
that you get the sneak attack damage, which is now 66. And
Yeah.
it's at advantage.
That's gone up as a result of going up to
Yeah,
11.
and it's at
Right.
advantage, and then you start getting criticals and stuff like that when you hit. So it's about doing massive damage on a surprise attack, scouting ahead.
Yeah, but you
That's
need to
pretty cool.
you need to engineer that position.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yes.
That's generally the
Yeah,
difficult bit.
that is the difficult bit. Can we talk about criticals briefly?
Yeah.
We're not gambling anymore, right? Nobody's
We're
gambling.
not gambling.
That house rule, to me, seems to have just become irrelevant because
Well, why would
there
you?
are very...
Why would you when
Exactly, there are very few instances where you would swap all of that extra damage that you're now doing. I mean, look at Alessandra, right? An extra 66, that gets doubled. The base weapon damage gets doubled. Why would you risk that against an opportunity to get something which could be quite underwhelming on a card? I just don't see why people would do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had a thought, because I like critical hits and I like lethality. And my thought is we just tweak it. No more gambling. If you roll a 20 on a hit, it's a critical. You do whatever the double damage is. If you confirm, you also pull a card.
Oh,
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
No gambling. You're not potentially sacrificing your extra damage. It's extra lethality. But bear in mind that would also apply for your opponents. That would be that's the thing.
Not sure about that.
All these things are sourced for the, what's it? Take a gander,
I think
whatever
one
it is.
or the
Anyway,
other,
have a think. We don't have to decide now.
Hmm.
It's going to be, I would have thought 10 to 15 minutes before you're going to be attacked by anything. So we can worry about it then. Is there anything else, Paul,
no, that's
on your...
that's
Is that it? More hit points?
more hit points, but nothing. Yeah,
You're all still on the same proficiency bonus and all that stuff. That's not moved on, has it? That's every 4 levels. So that's 13th is your next one.
yeah.
Got it.
So-
Something
okay.
happens to
Buggy.
me at 12, I can't remember. But
The barbarian is, I think, pretty lazily put together because
Right.
after 5th level, it's just boring. Nothing happens. It doesn't get any more interesting as a character, and the sort of extra abilities are really not very good. So
Good
I'm
look.
stopped doing barbarian, and now I'm just carrying on with the cleric.
is there nothing in Xanathar? Because the range is a bit like that. But Xanathar kind of turns it into something pretty good.
I didn't have Xanathar's Guide to Gross. I've only got the player's handbooks, and I've already chose the
Yeah.
It's the primal path. isn't
chose
it?
the primal path. And I don't know, just a,
And what's your primal path?
it's totem
Runaway?
warrior.
It's the very
So-
front end loaded one, isn't it? Because it gives you the really good rage damage reduction.
Yeah,
Right.
And then less further on, whereas some of the others work slightly differently.
Relentless Rage. At 11th level, your rage can keep you fighting despite grievous wounds. If you drop to 0 hit points while you're raging and don't die outright, you can make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. If you succeed, you drop to 1 hit point instead. So that's a bit like Parker's Relentless.
Yeah.
What's it?
Right.
what
Right.
level is that?
11th.
I,
Yeah, but-
I don't want to struggle all the way to 11th level as a barbarian to get that. I mean, it's,
Oh God, I keep forgetting. What
No,
level
no.
are you? Sorry.
I'm 5th.
Yes. Oh dear.
Why
no,
would I
no,
spend
no.
6 levels extra barbarian just to get that? I mean,
Oh, and you've got 5th level. Your speed increases by you see, this might be a consequence of multiclassing, Johnny. Right?
no,
As in,
no, it's,
You're an 11th level character, but all of the powers that you're getting as you get an opportunity to go
No,
up
no,
level
it's-
are 5th, 6th level powers,
the
right?
barbarian
It's
is
like-
That's
badly
basically why I
designed.
don't
It
like
needs a
multiclass.
rethink.
I think it depends what you want to do.
lazy.
If you're an 11th level barbarian, you'd have a shit ton of hit points,
Yeah, shit ton.
Yeah.
Yes.
and you have this
You
kind
would-
of continuous raging. You're raging effectively all the time.
Yeah, but to get to 11th level, now he would have to have not taken any levels in cleric. That's
Exactly.
what I'm saying, is that the
Yeah.
menu is a little underwhelming. It's all a bit like from the kids menu, even though
Yeah.
everybody else is picking 11th level powers.
Yes, yeah. So Graham's got these cool spells, right? How does that compare to what the barbarian's getting at 11th level?
Well, I mean, that's a separate question, but the barbarian is... I mean, I don't know, because I haven't looked at it in an enormous amount of detail, but a barbarian is not meant to... you've made that choice
Mass
to
teleport,
basically...
things like that. It's just not, it's
Yeah,
not
but
so
the mass
balanced.
teleport's to a place that you've prearranged.
Well,
It's a
yeah,
one.
It's not that.
pretty
It's not that good.
good.
If you survive having your head chopped off by the 11th level barbarian, right? I mean, you do enormous amounts of damage,
I
and you're
think-
incredibly difficult to kill. Of course, I forgot that you're picking from the 5th level menu, which is
No.
just...
You haven't
rubbish.
got my point. I just saying, beyond 5th level barbarian, it's
Right.
boring stuff. Like you're saying, it's like
Right.
kids,
It's the same old, same old.
same
Yeah.
old, not really.
More damage, more
So
rage,
I've taken
more this,
another
more
level
that.
of
Got
cleric,
it.
and I've picked meld to stone.
So you're definitely going for being the second best cleric. That's good.
Yeah.
Melt to stone. Is that one of the spice girls?
Meld into stone. And basically what I can do there is it's like a get out of jail free card. So if I'm on lower hit points, I just basically merge into the wall and they can't do anything against me.
What, like Homer backing into the hedge?
Yes, it's exactly the hedge backing in.
I don't know
Right.
about that, but
Okay.
I've never
So
seen that
rather than
episode.
running away, you literally make yourself part of the landscape.
Yeah. And then this is the cool bit.
Yes.
You remain aware
Yeah.
of the passage of time and can cast spells on yourself while merged into the stone.
So you can heal yourself whilst you merge
So
in
This is
stone.
I can stop
basically
raging,
the perfect Johnny,
heal
the
myself,
perfect Johnny spell.
buff up, back out.
Yeah, the perfect Johnny spell.
Yeah.
The only thing you need now is to have Grimbold rolling an enormous stone ball along next to you everywhere.
No,
you go.
I've got a plan for Grimbold, which I'll go into later.
Okay, we need to talk about Grimbold at some point.
And then, yes, that was it really.
Okay, somebody wrote a poem about Grimbold, but we'll get. No, I don't know. At some point, we'll maybe not now.
Who's going to do Parker?
Nobody's going to do Parker.
Okay, well I'll do Purple, shall I?
Yeah, let's do Babbly Habbly.
Some gross
Happy
bard
Dicky
stuff.
Purple basically has a 6th level spell, but Bard 6th level
Right.
spells generally aren't that great.
Ha-ha.
And the thing about the Bard is basically
Sorry.
Johnny's
shouldn't
really
be.
delighted.
They shouldn't be powerful.
they shouldn't be powerful.
Why can't you
spellcasters.
just
Because they're not-
straightforwardly enjoy each other's successes?
they're-
Whoa,
they're-
you're
Why has it always
shit.
got to be this kind of like looking over the
They're a
neighbour's
support
fence,
class, as Dan
making
always
sure they haven't
points
got a
out.
better lawnmower than you? It's just
As Dan always
constant.
points out, they're a support class. They shouldn't be They shouldn't have to
It's
be.
so
But it's a
How weird.
purely
Support
focused
them.
character.
So-
again.
So basically, yeah, where is this support? They're a prime character class. So
Johnny, when an old friend of yours, whatever, says, "I've got some really great news. I've just been offered this promotion, whatever." Is your first instinct like you just think, "Oh, really?"
oh god, yeah, but you're not as good as me.
No.
You shouldn't be getting that kind of thing. I should be getting it. No. So basically,
Well, yeah.
there's a couple.
I mean, I know if I heard that any one of you had won the lottery, my instinctive reaction would be, "Oh, bollocks."
So basically, I took. It was between True Sight.
Yes.
Um,
Good
No.
one.
Well,
Boring.
True Sight, and you've got See Invisible. So See Invisibility basically is not concentration, whereas I think True Sight's not either. But it's just a much higher level version that doesn't necessarily give you that much more.
Yeah.
So I
It's a
took
utility spell that means you're
Otto's
just-
Irresistible Dance.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Otto's Irresistible Dance basically is
It's
a no save. You have to dance.
What?
You're attacked at
like
disadvantage.
I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look this up.
I will
I
publish
like
it for
this
you
a
if you
lot.
want.
So it is a
Yeah,
gross
You have to
exactly.
spell.
publish it.
No save. You get a save on your action, but until then, people attack you at advantage.
Oh, that's good.
And I thought, if somebody needs to get out of combat, it's a spell that you could cast. Then
Do you
they're
get-
a bit stuffed.
Do you get
So
to
then-
choose the
then you
dance
can-
as well?
I guess.
You could actually say you've now got to do the foxtrot or jive or
What? One creature you can see within range. Comic dance in place. Shuffling, tapping its feet. Capering. Oh,
capering.
for the duration.
Capering.
This is meant to be we've moved from such a slightly more light-hearted tone of adventure bonds into something which is now meant to be a little bit more kind of, I don't know, menacing, and we're meant to be taking this all much more seriously.
Except
okay?
Dan's turned it back into Blackadder.
Capering. Thanks.
Capering. Yep. Capering.
Very Jack Farm.
And
Creatures that can't be charmed are immune to this spell. Let me just make a note of that. Dance.
well,
Yes.
yeah, there is that bit. But still, you never know.
Dexterity saving throws. Targets affected by the spell. Creatures have advantage on attack rolls against it. Wisdom saving throw. Fine. Got it. Is it concentration?
No. Yes.
Yes. Fine. Good.
And then basically, I swapped out scrying for haste.
Nice.
Oh, did you now?
I did.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've gone less kind of scouty
Yeah.
and more combat-y. Well, I'm
Yeah,
thinking
I mean,
now
that-
I've got my swords. You see.
Can't Sessions pick scrying as one of his spells? Isn't that in his spell?
I can.
Set,
I'm
right,
just
so-
thinking of, I might prepare that.
Is it a ritual spell anyway, scrying?
It is, in fact, a ritual spell, but you have to have
There you
prepared
go.
it to cast it as a ritual spell.
Well, Purple's got
Do you?
to
Yeah.
step up, hasn't he?
Then
really?
it just
'Cause
doesn't take a spell slot, but you still have to.
Yeah, because I'm not
pre-prepared
the
it.
same kind. I'm not that kind of.
Purple's got to
spellcaster.
step
I
up.
have to know it.
Where Bugrafter's kind of stepped back
Purple,
from being a
Purple.
combat person.
If you remember, Burple is mobile.
Burpile.
Purple is mobile. So basically, he
Yeah.
can spring attack effectively, and it gives
Yeah.
him-
Whereas Uncle Buggy is now basically a fossil, right?
Yeah.
So far as I can work out.
and he's
from this new
already
spell
got a
of his.
speed
Yeah.
of 40
Yeah.
with mobile.
Mm.
So with the haste,
Mm.
his speed is potentially doubled.
Tonight's beer, by the way, Paul.
Yeah.
So he can
Is-
just zip in from miles away, attack with his two swords, maybe
People,
with a third
money, space,
attack.
time.
Oh.
Yeah, you see.
By Verdant. Very nice. Sorry, Bonds. I was just.
Yeah, just talking
He
over
just
my,
beer.
literally
my marvelous.
came in straight over the top.
I'm very sorry. It will never. Well, it will happen again. I can't pretend it won't happen again. Anything else from more hit points, more whatever? That's it.
More hit
right?
points. 102 hit points.
Right. We are in. What? Really?
Yeah, 102 hit points.
Fucking
join the
hell.
club.
Hit points. What is this?
Jesus H. Christ.
Oh, it's all gone wrong.
So he's
We're
going
in
to do on a full sort of around between 30 and 40 hit points, points of damage.
Cool.
Right.
Better than the barbarian.
That's me. That's better than me.
Well,
I only
you
attack
should
at plus
have-
8. What do you attack at?
That's better than me, I think. I'm attacking at +7.
Yeah, but you are 5th level.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. Is you're instead of having like the full filet mignon with
No, I
the
don't
chunky
think it-
chips and the salad, you've got the kids' portion of
I'd still
sausage
be doing
and chips
the same
and the-
damage. I'd still be doing
and
the
the
same
mini burger.
damage.
It's the attribute
The,
distribution, I think.
Yeah, it's
Um,
because I've got magic swords, though, Johnny.
Should we? Well, let's talk
Yeah.
about magic
That's
swords.
gross.
Let's talk about magical items. So you're in the Tomb of Ecosiel. You've opened the sarcophagus. There is an array of magical items. You felt a sort of sense that they were being bestowed to you by the spirit of Ecosiel when you defeated the that demon. By the way, I thought was extremely disappointing. The thing with all the eyes, didn't you?
Yeah,
No,
I didn't really get it, but
Well, I mean, it's like for an end of level boss. I thought Zerxog with all of that. Your flair is a pleasing garnish and all of that business. It's much more fun. And hooves and all of that, much more fun. This thing was like, I mean, I suppose you didn't get to repeatedly confront it, so it didn't really get a chance to, exercise its exciting personality. But I just thought a bit underwhelming for a
the
sort of
environment
final.
wasn't that interesting.
Right? Yes, not
as
exactly.
interesting as the other places. So
While we're at it, I hate to be disloyal, but I didn't think that last book was particularly interesting. It was heavily edited. I read a lot of advice on forums and so forth, the Paizo forums about that book 6, and pretty much the universal opinion was that it was a bit of a grind, and as much as you could chop out of it, you should.
right,
This was from going into the cairn and then all this bit up to this point. This book 6.
Yes, I mean, I think the idea of going back to the cairn and the fact that there's been a little teleport gate there all that time, I think that's a really interesting idea, and that there's more to the cairn, like a part 2. It's very interesting. And I thought some of the weirdness, some of the atmosphere was really good. But the actual adventure itself, I mean, I think compared to all of the fun that we had with the gladiatorial games and all of that stuff, I just thought
It didn't really work. I mean, like the columns, that could have been much more lethal and
very difficult
interesting.
I agree with you, but-
Rolls. Then there was other wind creatures we fought or armor at the beginning, and they just didn't seem to do anything.
Well, no, there wasn't much. There's a whole section that I chopped out involving, we won't get into it, got rid of that. I thought the interesting bits were the environment. I thought the river bit was interesting. I thought the exploration was interesting. Dungeon crawls have to be really interesting nowadays.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just seem to get a little bit grindy compared to
yeah.
which we can talk about in terms of book 7. But I've distracted everybody. Let's do the magic. Let's go round. Who picked what? Who's got what? Let's start with Sessions.
Sessions has the totem of Storm, which is a wondrous item that, if attuned, gives divine spellcasters access to some more spells, obviously thematically storm related, so call lightning, sleet, storm.
It's my set of domain spells.
Yeah, domain spells are the Tempest,
which are good, but I don't know. I just think.
And then you can use your channel divinity to max out spells that do thunder or lightning damage.
Yeah.
And once per short rest, you can have resistance to. So it's quite good. The challenge with it, obviously, is it's an item that needs attunement, and I can't work out whether it's worth attuning or not.
The attunement rules is something else we should talk about at some point.
For the attunement, you could, instead of saying you attune in a short rest, you could do it as an action, which
possibly,
in a combat, an action is quite a big deal. Because you miss out a whole round.
We could have a house rule whereas you spend your entire turn doing nothing but attuning, right? No movement, no nothing. I'll think about that one. I think we should.
Out stuff.
I don't think it's a decision we should make in the.
It's not a bad idea.
In the heat of it's not really. We never have a heat of a moment down this thing, do we? But
we do that with spells, don't we?
Well, we used to have a house rule which was that you could swap out a spell choice by spending what used to be called a full round action. So spending your entire turn.
Refocus.
Yes, I mean, the idea would be that you would contact your divinity, or you would rapidly pull out your little travelling spell book, and I don't know. I think that was the
read it off the page.
Rationale. Yeah. That was the fluff that backed it up. Well, let's have a think about it. I shall take that under advisement.
Because otherwise, basically, what happens is that wizards who, I mean, in original D&D, sorcerers didn't exist, so you had magic users, and that was it. But one of the joys was basically leafing through the player's handbook, going, which spell can I use in this situation, and having this massive choice. And
I'm not sure that we ever played that correctly, though.
And we never played that correctly. We
never played it correctly, but still.
No, we used to play it incorrectly in the sense that here is the book of spells.
Yeah.
You could pick anyone at any time.
Well,
because we basically swerved the memorization rules.
Yes.
The Vancian memerization rules.
Yes. I kind of miss that. I quite like that. I mean, we haven't got a wizard. That would be what the wizard does. But
personally, I used to like it when a lot of the spells were idiosyncratic, were quite whimsical.
Yes.
The oddest situations could be addressed in inventive ways.
Yes.
An element of play that you just don't get when you have to plan ahead and be kind of ruthlessly efficient and rational.
To a subset of the spells.
Yeah, nobody's going to pick, I don't know, alter self if they've got 4 spell, right? I mean, because it's because of the combat
so
nature.
You never use them.
We've got quite a spellcasty party. I mean, there's lots of people.
Yes, you do.
Spells.
Big time. And the monk has got magic-y stuff as well.
Yeah.
By spending key points.
I think it's quite.
Well, anyway, so Graham, the totem of the
storm at the moment just carrying
resembles a stylized lightning bolt carved from the blackened wood of a storm-burned tree from the Aqua Highlands. Aqua is the mythical realm of the Wind Dukes. The totem bears the inscription "Friend of the Storm" in Fati upon its surface, and it gives you basically Tempest Domain spells and a couple of other powers. Okay. Who was next when we went and did the levelling up?
Paul.
Yes, I have got the legendary, the one and only, the Bow of the East.
One of several.
Yes.
Bow of the Eastwind, the one that my character gave you
rightfully,
in another dungeon, and you forgot
rightfully, finally, with its rightful owner.
On that, Johnny, it's not another dungeon, right? The Bow of the East Wind belonged to a character, I think of yours, called Alfonso.
Right.
And was lent to a character of Paul's, who I think was called Timmy.
No.
Or One Too Many. Or
One Too Many.
One Too Many. That was in Evenstar. That wasn't a different dungeon. That was the same.
So it could be the same artifact.
This is the actual
This is interesting
Bow of the
because
East Wind.
you have all heard of the Bow of the East Wind, and you have heard of a legendary set of adventurers who disappeared in Evenstar some years ago, apparently seeking a personage called Duergar Demoni, who had stolen the holy artifact of the Church of Tonge called the Luster of Saint Suzanne. The theft of the luster from the great temple of Tonge in Evenstar is a well-known thing, and the fact that some heroes found a route to another dimension, chasing after Duergar Demoni to try and recover the luster, is also well-known. And the fact that one of them bore the legendary Bow of the East Wind is also known to you. So it is interesting that it's sitting here in this sarcophagus.
It's finally with its rightful owner.
I can't remember that dungeon.
Well, that was a really long dungeon. We did that for ages, but
nobody knows what happened to those heroes. But there is a
basically died.
Well, you don't know.
We do because we ran it. We ran them.
Is this the very long dungeon you ran for years, and we ended up being chased by a load of piranha demons?
Basically, yeah. And we ended up.
Yeah,
yes.
we died.
Yeah, we died.
Well, I think we got to the point where we were never going to survive.
Yes, we never actually played it out, but we
just don't know what happened to those people.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
What we do know is that there is a memorial to them, a fresco engraved with their likenesses and names at the fountain of Arisi Bearclaw on the way into Evenstar, the fountain that Buggy visited when he went to Evenstar in order to pay his obeisances to his deity. But those heroes disappeared, apparently, at the fountain of Arisi Bearclaw into some other dimension and have not been heard of for years. Nobody knows what happened to them. But this bow is sitting in this sarcophagus.
Nice.
So, who knows?
It's not a bad bow either. It does require attunement, but I have a spare slot. So
why don't you tell us all about it?
This longbow bears the inscription, "Speed this arrow to the enemies of law and storms," in Farti along its length. You have a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. Any arrow fired from this bow deals an extra 1d6 thunder damage to its target on a successful strike. So there's just going to be lots of d6s being thrown around. A creature hit by a critical hit with this bow must make a DC 14 strength saving throw or suffer the effects of a blast of wind. Smaller creatures and medium flying creatures are blown back. Creatures on the ground are knocked back 1d4 10 feet and take 1d4 bludgeoning damage, while flying creatures are knocked back 2d6.
Yeah, I'm losing the will to live.
Exactly.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah. 2d6 bludgeoning damage. Some creatures are knocked prone, larger creatures are not affected. The bearer of this weapon may cast Fly once per day.
Nice.
Yeah.
You must have thought all your things had come in, all
my ships.
What's the phrase?
Almost
Christmases have come at once.
Yeah, something like that. When you realised how that bow fitted.
I thought that, and the reliable talent, and the fact that I can fly, and all that kind of stuff, and the assassination stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
And the sneak attack.
I meant Mike, though.
Well,
Mike must have gone, actually, I could make that the bow of the East Wind.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
The fact that the bow of the East Wind has been sitting in that sarcophagus has been a long laid plan. Most of the stuff is I just make it up on the spot.
Yeah.
But there are bits of this where I've tried to work in connections to the greater story.
Yeah.
And if you read the guide to Hearth and Evenstar that I circulated about a year and a half ago, you'd have found stuff about all of this, but nobody did. So,
and this
maybe I should put that guide on the internet somewhere for our 20, I believe, solidly 20 readers to refer to.
Why not?
I'll think about it.
So they really will be readers.
They will be readers, and they'll be able to advise us.
They will be able to advise you.
I knew.
They'll be able to
That's why I
email
called them
in
readers in the first place, you see.
to hello@billowinghilltop.com. And what's left of Paul, Johnny, will be able to read that advice out.
Not funny.
Who was next? It was
Me.
you, Johnny.
So I
What'd
got
you
the
get?
Ring of the Wind Dukes, heavy platinum ring set with large pale blue sapphires and carved with the runes of law. So I ignore strong winds. So okay, it's okay standing next to Paul. Resistance to lightning damage, which is okay. I don't really get resistance about raging. Action once a day. This is quite cool. Transform into a bolt of lightning 5 feet wide that extends out from you to a point within 60 feet. You then teleport to that point. Each creature, excluding you, DC 14 Dex save for 10d6 damage save to half.
Nice.
That is
There
nice.
you go.
But it is even better if I use my Wrath of Storm,
I know.
which I looked up, and it's very cleverly worded. No, it's not Wrath of Storm. It's
Destructive Wrath.
Destructive Wrath, which is very cleverly worded. It's not if you cast a spell, you do max damage. It's as if you roll thunder or lightning damage, then you can max it out. So I am just rolling damage. So I can do 60 points, save to 30.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that is pretty good.
If we could tempt you out of your fossilized state, you're going to be quite lethal.
And then
Fire attunement.
it does. So I've stopped taking off the ring of jumping.
Yeah.
Then also once a day I can do Charm Monster on a creature associated with elemental air. Elementals have disadvantage on the roll. That'll only be good if we meet those kind of creatures, and if we don't, it's a complete waste of time. That's it.
And then finally, and basically, hopefully bringing to a close, a process that has lasted an interminably long time.
Well, actually,
of
maybe we
going
can just
backwards
move
and
on. We
forwards.
don't want to hear. We don't want to hear the
No.
bard's grosso sort of stuff.
Burple the Bard,
So let's start playing.
tell us about your magical item.
Well, I got the short sword of Ecosiel, which
Yes.
appears to be the twin or a related item to the sword of Zosiel, which I already had. So the sword of Zosiel is +2, does an extra 1d6 lightning damage. But it turns out when it's used with the short sword of Ecosiel, they kind of do stuff together. So it also gets the light property, so I can wield the two together.
Yes.
The sword of Ecosiel is a short sword, a +2 short sword that does an extra 1d6 lightning damage, but it It also sheds light in a 10-foot radius. I can cast Fly once per day. And when I bang both swords together, I can fire a 6d6 lightning bolt in a 30-foot line. Thunderblast. Sorry,
Yes.
Thunderblast.
Is there a limit to the...
3 times a day.
Wow.
But the thing is
Nice.
that I'm also mobile, right? So with haste, in theory, I get 3 attacks.
Mm.
The first attack is at +8 and does 2d6 +4.
Mm.
And then the second one does 1d8 plus 1d6 plus 4.
Yes.
And then I can throw in an extra d8 from my
You've got your
bardic
bardic inspiration.
inspiration, and then I can use my haste attack, so I can get an extra attack.
I mean, it's
Sounds
terrific.
good.
It's great.
We're not going to do Parker's item, but there was a set of gauntlets in the sarcophagus. One chased with what seemed to be rolling thunderclouds, the other crackling with electrical energy. And Parker has snaffled those. But we will wait until Lucas returns from his convalescence in the South Pole.
Mm.
The Fortress of Solitude. Right.
Now, there was one other thing.
There's
One other thing in the sarcophagus. And that is there is what looks like a fragment of a rod. It looks like a fragment of the Rod of Law. Looks like the end of the Rod of Law, because it were the kind of last bit, the tip, just the tip. One end is kind of jaggedly snapped off. It's just sitting there.
Well,
in the sarcophagus.
I said
Burple,
touched
it
it.
is calling to you.
yes.
For you, Burple, not for the others, it is glowing with a faint blue radiance.
Well, I shall touch it.
Nothing happens particularly, that you do get the sense that there is some kind of energy or connection or something living within it that is either suppressed by where you are or something else, right? So
Right.
I think the way I would describe it is it's like a mobile
Intelligent.
phone.
It's got an
It's
ego.
like a mobile phone in a lead-lined room.
Yeah.
No. I don't mean that it's intelligent. I mean that it's
Power is
somehow connected to the
the other
multiverse in
bits.
some way. You feel that it's.
The other
You
bits.
feel that it's. Well, you don't know, but the point is that you can sense that it has that potential within it, but that you can also sense that that potential is dampened somehow. Whether or not that's because you need to know a command word or whatever it might be, or a property of the environment that you're in. I mean, that you cannot tell, but that's what you think.
Anyone got any objection to me carrying it?
Are you lawful?
You think that it has properties. I can tell you about those properties. So it's an artifact with all of the things that go along with that, right?
What does that mean?
I think it goes common, uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary, artifact.
Right.
So as in artifacts and relics in like old school D&D,
Yeah.
it's like a proper thing.
You'd have to
What
attune to that.
alignment are you?
Me?
Yes. You don't have to tell me you want to go and tell me in the broom cupboard?
No,
I
it's
can't
fine.
remember.
I'm neutral.
Okay. That's not perfect, but that doesn't mean that it does you any particular harm whilst holding it. But I think that what it does is it allows you to cast heal once per day. I need to double check that doesn't require attunement.
If I don't need to attune to it.
I can't
Obviously,
imagine
you'll just carry
an
it around.
artifact that you don't need to attune to it. It doesn't make sense.
It's not a complete artifact, though, so it's a slightly different situation.
It is a little odd. The whole situation is a
But
little
an
odd.
item
but
that
let
allows
us
you
not-
to cast a 6th level spell once a day is pretty gross.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
that you don't attune to are things like, magical weapons, armor, book standard, things like that. If it's some weird, wondrous magic, you almost always attune to it.
Well, is
Yes,
anyone
this
going
is
to
true.
want to attune to it?
It'd be a choice between going very fast with my boots of speed and having a heal option. But
Yeah. So
I
my
suppose-
choice would be that or evasion.
Well, let's not get ourselves
Evasion is a pretty
too.
good backup for purple.
Let's not get ourselves too distracted by that question because it's again, like I say, it's sort of academic.
Well, it's not academic once we're in combat.
Let's put this a different way. Do you want to attune to it now? Let's assume that you do need to attune to it in order for it to use its healing
Oh, I see
heal
what you
power.
mean. Yes. No, not really right now.
Right. So we can push on. I don't know what we want to do now. I mean, you're in this tomb. Do you want to go back out?
How are we doing for healing?
It's a good question. Yeah. How are you getting on? I recall that there was quite a bit of damage dealt out
Yeah.
last time.
I'm not
Well, I
too
could do a
bad.
short rest, maybe.
I can't speak for Parker, obviously, but I suspect that I know he was involved in the fight quite significantly.
I'm just over half.
Me too.
Should we do a rest?
You don't get the sense that anybody's going to bother you where you are.
Yeah. Search the rest of the room.
Nothing interesting.
Let's take a long rest.
I mean, nothing at all, to be honest.
We have to remember something.
Do next.
We have to remember something. With the moment we leave this cairn, we do have unfinished business with a dragon. That might be hanging around, so we might want to be on full.
Yeah. Why don't we take a long rest?
Yeah.
Be my guest.
Be my guest. Take a long rest.
The sarcophagus, it's got a lid, has it?
It doesn't have a lid anymore. That lid sort of dematerialized when you placed the seal of Icosiol in the outstretched hands of the figure of Icosiol on the lid of the sarcophagus. It sort of went whooing, and you could get into the middle of it.
Is there any carving that has the name of Icosiol on this sarcophagus? Or is it
Well,
just
yes.
blank?
I mean, the Icosiol's rune is carved on the sarcophagus and elsewhere in the complex.
Okay, I'm going to make this the final resting place of Grimbold.
What?
Are you?
Oh, I see.
Yes. Buried with dignity in a
Somebody else's
sort of legendary
It's a bit like a sort of magpie,
tomb.
not a magpie, a cuckoo.
Yeah.
Basically, subsuming
But
somebody else's.
the story will be lost to time, and he will be
Grave goods.
revered
Yeah.
as a great warrior or spellcaster.
Okay,
So
fine.
I don't know how to unanimate
Well,
the creature under your control for 24 hours, after which it stops obeying any command you've given to it. To maintain control for another 24 hours, you must cast a spell on the creature again.
Yeah.
The use of the spell reasserts control.
You got about half an hour left of biddable Grimbold, and then Grimbold will just become a zombie.
Is there any way of sort of dispelling it or killing him? Or
Don't think so. I don't think animate dead works like that.
but I could
I
just
think if you animate a dead thing, you animate it and that's it. I don't think you can. It's not concentration, and I don't think you can dispel it.
I've got destroy undead. I don't want to destroy it, do I?
We're not going to get into the detail. I mean, if you choose to pull Grimbold out of the bag of holding and thump him on the head, we're not going to get into the detail of it.
I'll
right?
do that. I'll do that until he's actually dead, not undead.
Yes, no,
He's dead,
not undead, dead.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Normally, yeah. And then I'm going to place him in the tomb, push away the bones of remove the bones of a coast.
Yeah. We don't need those.
Lay
Yeah, fine.
Grimbold to rest, and then try and chip away Grimbold flange into the side of the sarcophagus.
I'm sure you can do something that looks, I mean, really ham-fisted and amateurish. Yes, excellent. Well, there we are. Fantastic bit of desecration. Hey, why not? You lay Grimbold to rest.
Yes. Final resting place of Grimbold.
God for that.
Maybe with that reader who sent in a
Poem.
Grimbold poem, we can have that inscribed somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Or we could put a statue to Grimbold up in Diamond Lake or something when our adventures are over. Yeah, in the last episode.
The faceless one.
5 years' time.
yeah, the post-credits conversation.
In the bloopers.
Yeah, a pair of legs sticking out of the plinth.
Yeah, exactly. With a piece of cardboard, but just this poem scrawled on it.
Yeah.
Great idea. And I think at this point we should have a quick round of reincarnate him. Everybody agree?
No, he's not going to be reincarnated.
Reincarnate.
I think it's tradition. Let's do it.
Reincarnate him, so back together. Reincarnate him, limbs in different order. Reincarnate him, so back together. On the druid's table, play him as a badger.
Right. Now what?
We take a long rest. Can we take a long rest? Can we press the long rest button?
Yes.
Of course you can, and it takes you to 6 o'clock in the evening of Thump Day.
Awesome.
Oh, long rest has been taken. Hey.
Right then. Back out. Go.
Right then.
How do we get out of here?
Well, we're going to hand wave that.
Oh, we.
Thank God.
You're not
I mean,
gonna
you
play- you're not
drop
gonna make us
through the
play it.
illusionary... No. Imagine. Yeah. Square by tedious square.
Well, that's what we do in Prince of the Apocalypse. Johnny does make us play.
Well,
Everything.
yeah, because Johnny is trying to buy time. You drop through the illusionary floor onto the pillar. There is nothing in the adventurers written about how that pillar operates in terms of... It's a bit like that thing with the... Remember with the water in the barrel in the sodden hold,
Yes.
where it makes sense one way but doesn't make any sense the other way. It's the same thing. It doesn't make any sense this, but let us assume that when you descend to the pillar, you remove the seal from the thing, from Ecosiel's what's it, and you put it into the thing, and then the pillar gently descends. You hop your way back. Johnny, you're absolutely right. That could be much more difficult and dangerous, but hey, what we're going to do? Back to the doors, back down the staircase. You reverse your journey up. You can now all fly or effectively do whatever, right? Oh, you've got the bag of holding, so let's just not get into it. Back up to the shores of the Red River, back through the chambers where you met the spider, the ooze chamber, back through the room.
What are we doing about the Sphere of Annihilation and the Talisman of the Sphere?
It's
That's
not
powerful.
It's not a real sphere of annihilation, I think we realise.
I can tell you now, it's just an image.
Right.
It is not actually a Sphere of Annihilation. On the Talisman of the Sphere, though, Parker, who I think is carrying it from my feeble recollection.
Yes, he is.
Parker notices that it seems to have been switched on, as in you've been kind of fishing around with this thing for a while, trying to work out, do I attune to it? Do I not attune to it? How does it work? You know, all of that. Well, it's like somebody's put batteries in it. When Parker rechecks his handy haversack, it seems to have been energized. It seems to be live. It doesn't do anything. It's not crackling with energy. It's not floating about or anything, but it's obvious now that hitherto it has been dormant. Back out through the room with the windiness, back through the gate into the Whispering Cairn. Stop me if I'm getting this wrong.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to stop fast forwarding. We don't need to necessarily drop you onto a map yet, but you emerge through the gate into that little side passageway off the main entrance hall of the Whispering Cairn. Let us say it is 7 o'clock in the evening. There's still a little bit of daylight that you can pick up coming into the cavern from the main entrance. You've got the light of your various magical items or whatever spells that you've got. I don't know if you're lighting those lights. What are you doing? Are
Alessandra's
going
to scout ahead.
I'm going
outside.
to walk with my Sword of Zosiel drawn. So no light.
So the Sword of Zosiel lights up. Yeah, a little blue light.
No, the Sword of Ecosiel lights up.
Are you sending Alessandra through the gate first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pro one.
She wants to be
Well, can I
about
see through the gate?
100 foot ahead of
You
everybody
can
else.
see through the gate, Burple. You can see Alessandra through the weird ripply black surface, and then you see her in the corridor. You can see through it like it's a window.
Yeah.
She's going to go about 100 foot ahead of them,
twilight.
and she's going to make her way sneakily.
It's a mere 40 or 50 feet to the junction, and then you did take a left, and then it's probably about another 50, 60 feet out to the main entrance. Is that what you want to do?
Sneaky.
Roll a stealth check.
Get a 31.
Nice.
You are utterly undetectable as you make your way out into the main entrance hall. You can kind of poke up an inquisitive head round the corner, and you can see outside, through the entrance of the cairn, out onto the area of open ground that lays in front of the cairn, lying perhaps 60, 70 feet from the entrance. Immobile is the dragon.
Oh.
Can you give me a perception check?
Yep.
I'm going to put you on a map.
18.
Resting on the head of this dragon, in quite clearly an arranged row, are 3 small orange objects.
Mm-hmm.
When you say immobile, are we talking asleep or dead?
Can't detect any movement. You can't detect breathing, for example. What do you want to do, Alessandra?
Alessandra, she's going to trigger her wings of flying for a start, and then she's going to roll a perception check, getting a 27 to see if there's any sign of life.
You stand absolutely stock still and silent, listening to the sound of the world outside, and you can't hear any sound of breathing from this form, and you can't see any sign that it is moving or breathing. It seems completely inert.
It's an illusion. It's a trap. It's a trap. The dragon has done an illusion of itself when it's ready to swoop down. That's my
Okay.
What are the 3 dots then?
Alessandra's going to fly a bit closer.
You're going to emerge from the cave.
Yep. She can move.
Okay,
she
you're
can
about,
fly 40 foot.
So you'd be about 50 feet away from it. no change. I mean, it's huge, great form lying there, inert on the ground, no sign of life. I mean, you can hear the sound of night birds, evening birds chirping in the trees around you. Yes?
I'm probably going to be about 20 foot away from it.
Arranged along the top of its head, which is lying flat on the ground. I mean, the whole thing is, I think the word I would use now that you're closer is slumped, this thing, are 3 clementines.
A gift from Hesty.
odd.
Dead dragon is a gift from Hesty.
Yeah, how did he arrange that? He's a bit of a wimp.
He seems to have variable powers, doesn't he?
Yeah. Unless it's a thing of his order, and that was done by Marcus Doombringer.
It could be
the most powerful mage in the land.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
what do you want to do, Alessandra? Do you want to go back for the others, or do you want to keep having a look at
She's
this?
going to fly
Radio in for backup.
closer.
She's going to fly closer. Okay. How close? I mean, right up to it.
Right up to it.
It's not breathing. I mean, as far as you can tell, this thing is dead.
Okay.
This head is a solid 6 or 7 feet long. I mean, that's just the front bit of the head. I mean, not including the neck and the bit with the behind the, all of that stuff. It's ridged and horny, and on the top of these 3 clementines.
Could I...
They're about 5 feet away from you, and probably, if you're flying, about level.
Do they look like just regular clementines, or is there anything different?
They just look like regular clementines. It doesn't look like they've been eaten.
Can I do an insight check just to see if I can figure out how long this thing's been dead, roughly?
I think that would be a medicine check. Your knowledge of dragon physiognomy.
And I have no medicine check. Okay.
Well, you can just make a straight intelligence. Is it intelligence? Anybody? Can anybody know?
Can anybody know? I don't know. I think
Can
anybody
anybody
can.
know?
Medicine.
I just don't want to say
Anybody
Graham. I
does
wanted to
know.
give it the impression that other people might have the answer who aren't Graham,
it's
but
wisdom.
we know it's Graham.
It's a wisdom check and just a straight D20 then.
Go for it.
Getting a 12.
You think that
it's dead.
You don't know how. Yeah, you think it's dead. You have got some information to go on from your check, because you know when you last saw it alive. And that was not much longer than 24 hours ago.
So it's been dead for less than 24 hours.
You're definitely, yeah, if this was
It's
Morse.
If it's the same creature.
It's the same creature, and it's been dead for less than 24 hours because you know it was alive just over 24 hours
And you
ago.
got that by sticking your thermometer.
Yes, in its...
Yeah, we'll let you know when
Special place.
I've done the post-mortem at
Yeah.
2 p.m. I think I'm going to take a clementine.
You're reaching for a clementine.
Oh, could be suppressing its life
Oh,
force.
my darling.
That first clementine, as you reach for it, a little mouth appears on it.
Ooh.
And a voice says,
Hello, is this working? Hello? It is Hesty Testapod here. As you can see, I have slain the beast. Oh, Pickle, I'm running out of...
I think it's time to go and get the others. I fly back and I explain
Okay.
the situation.
Okay, we'll go out. Paul will pick up the second clementine.
Yeah.
a little mouth appears on it.
Sorry. Stupid spell. Anyway, I shall return to my home, but you must go north to the Lake of the Cold Sky
I pick up the third clementine.
to the Lake of the Cold Sky, to Truespire Island. Find Doombringer, and be careful. Kios has his spies, but there are others now. You...
Pick up the first one again.
It's just a clementine.
I'll eat the clementine.
Don't want a segment?
Are there
Yeah,
any
well-
valuable parts to a dragon that we can...
Scales
Correct.
and bits, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if there are, you can, within reason, you can grab them.
Are there any corpses in the entrance to the cairn, i.e. cubbins?
Cubbins, you fought as a zombie in the Evenstar Arena.
But are there any other, he's henchmen?
Oh, you want to animate somebody?
Yeah. What about back in the Noel Edmonds and thing? Are they back in the
Oh, Noel Edmonds.
lantern room?
Yes, you can animate Noel Edmonds. I would be delighted were you to do so.
Okay, I'll animate him. He deserves it.
Right then.
And he goes
go.
into the bag of holding.
As you gather around the dragon, your imaginary horses. I don't know about these horses. You've been theoretically travelling on horseback, but we never seem to worry where they are. So I'm assuming they're there.
Yeah,
right?
they're tied
they-
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
perfectly
they
happy.
weren't there when you fought the dragon on the way here, right? I mean, it's not like, and you didn't leave them outside, otherwise the dragon would have eaten
I
them.
think
So somehow,
we
I think they're just they're special hand wave.
They're tied
horses.
up inside.
Right. They're all tied up inside, man.
Yeah.
They just can't,
They're
relax.
a bit hungry, so we'll feed them.
You feed your horses. You organise yourself for your journey north. He's talking about the Lake of the Cold Sky. You know what the Lake of the Cold Sky is? It's a huge lake, almost a kind of inland sea. North of somewhere called Elmshire. Parker knows of Elmshire. Elmshire is the town a little bit north of the Twilight Monastery where he grew up. And Elmshire's like a kind of town of trappers and, lumberjacks and whatever mountainy people.
Okay.
As you are getting your horses organised, a couple of weird things happen.
Mm.
The first weird thing that happens is a creature appears in the little clearing, just appears out of nowhere. Like, it's a little green, winged, demony looking thing. It's got one green and one grey eye, and it is holding a little wooden chest, a bit like the dice box. Readers, you won't know what our dice box looks like, but it's a little wooden chest.
It's a nice dice
with
box.
that sort of curvy lid, like pirate chest. Right, it's a very nice dice box. I'd say it was about 8 to 10 inches long and about 6 inches deep. It just appears and it proffers this chest to you. The second weird thing that happens is that next to it, there is a sort of flicker of reality, and you hear a sort of high-pitched voice, which is like weirdly familiar. There's a sort of garbled conversation, and then appearing next to this thing with the chest is the figure of Cuthbert Ouchsplinter.
Hello. Oh my God.
And we will find out what Cuthbert is doing there. And what he wants from you when we pick things up next week.
I love it.
I know you fucking do. He's dead. Dead.
The Billowing Hilltop podcast is a Billowing Hilltop production. Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. The Spire of Long Shadows and Age of Worms are copyright Paizo. The Spire of Long Shadows was written by Jesse Decker. Music is from Kevin MacLeod and Incompetech.com and is used with thanks under the Creative Commons license. Additional music and sound effects come from the wonderful Sirenscape. All other original material is copyright Billowing Hilltop. Role-playing games are all about getting people together, and we use Roll20 as our tabletop, the perfect place to host your game, and Discord to host our chat. Thanks for listening. Thank you.